crawl, walk, and run. Those are the three things that I basically say to myself every day, even while building our own company here at 52 Launch. It's nothing happens overnight. And when it does, Peter alluded to it.
Hey, I'm Peter Drakulich, and this is
Dan Gagne.
Welcome to the 52 Launch Podcast. As always, you guys are fantastic. Dan, I think today's topic is going to be about the biggest mistakes
people make when bringing products to market.
Oh, that's it's going to be a short subject here, right?
Yeah, it should only take us about 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you want to start? I mean, we've both been in this. On my side, people were calling me with stuff they had in their garage that was already made, and when I got there, it was like just wrong, and you couldn't sell things that were wrong. So, when I met you, I was like, okay, well, maybe we can start fixing these things.
Well, look, we've listed a few out here, but I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm going to pick out the one I think is the most important, and that's not bringing a product to market at all. I mean, to me, that is the biggest mistake.
That is a good one.
It's always questioning yourself and always having that gut punch feeling when someone else has come up with your idea and has actually been successful in taking it to market. We've all had that moment that. I don't know, is it a Fruit Loop moment? Something when you hit your head and say, oh God, I thought of that 5 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll take it even further, and that's a really good statement, man. It's even going further. At some point, validation is only, you have to, when you make the decision to go, you got to go. And you can't keep second guessing yourself along the way. At the end of the day, if you know your product solves a problem or it creates a solution for a need that you've seen, you have to have the confidence that you're doing something that you yourself needed.
Right. And I think that's been our best clients have been the ones that have experienced a problem and figured out a way to fix it. Those seem to go smoothly, get launched quickly, and are very successful in the marketplace.
All right. So number one, definitely bring the product that you have in your mind to market. You've got to go for it. That's because if you don't, you're right. It's like the Wayne Gretzky thing. You make none of the shots that you don't take.
Or at least give us a call. I mean, we're going to give you 45 to 50 minutes of free time just to discuss and bounce your idea off us. And in complete disclosure, we certainly are not taking anybody's ideas.
Good point, because you don't want you don't want to be that motivated with a bad idea.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. All right. So what's next on your little list?
The other one is we always chuckle after 5 years of doing this. To me, it's the funniest one. It's when someone comes in and says, yeah, I've got most of it figured out. I just need your help to kind of push it over the top. And we chuckle inside, not in front of you, not in front of a client, but we do chuckle because really, I don't think we've met a single client that's had it all figured out when they've come in to meet us. There's just so many nuances to bringing a product to market that, we consider ourselves experts, and by no means do we have it all figured out all the time. So,
well, now I'm going to play into that because on my list I had people who think it's easy, right? Oh, it's just easy to go and get this done. There was a million micro decisions that have to be made with every detail of bringing the product to market. And there's also then the expertise. There is nothing easy about logistics, supply chains, how something gets made, all the different ways to make it. Yes, if you stuck with the first thing that you decide this is how I'm going to make it, that might be the easiest way, but that might not be the right way. Like we always tell people a lot in the last 5 years, during our process, we learned about the 1,000 ways that you shouldn't make your product. And that's really a key.
That's a good point.
To us, it's, it's got to be cost effective. That was, again, from my original point that, if you pay too much for something, if you're not working to bring your costs down as low as it can to be in market and give you margin so you can make money or at least break even to get the pipeline started in sales, that should be your focus. It's not about the first solution. It's about the best solution. Yeah, and that's not easy.
And our team is very good at figuring out that. I think that's one of our competitive advantages out there is that we've done so many deals now, over a couple hundred, and that's extremely important to make sure that we can make the product properly, make it cost effective, because this kind of moves into the next topic, or not topic, but a lot of people ask this question, almost every person that we speak to. I got to get a patent on this right away, shouldn't I? And again, both Peter and I have mixed feelings about that. Yes, if you have the money, securing a patent would be awesome. Most of the people that come see us are pretty much just like everybody out there, on a budget. And if you do have a budget, let's spend that money on developing a great product, and let's have some money left over for marketing dollars and advertising dollars, because we're going to need that. We can worry about the patent later on, but even with a patent, people, when you're successful and you've sold hundreds of thousands, if not millions of these, we can assure you of one thing, Peter, and what is that?
Well, you are going to get knocked off.
There you go.
And to us, I think you'd be stupid to spend the $250,000 in legal fees to go and sue somebody to stop and maybe recoup $15,000 to $20,000 of that money. I would much prefer that you put that money into inventory or marketing dollars. To me, that is the number one key.
Which goes back to the question or the answer that we just had a few minutes ago about having the lowest price. And that means if you can,
right,
in order to have the lowest price, you have to have the lowest cost. So let's really focus on getting the cost down to a point where if you do and when you do get knocked off, we're still going to be cost effective. We're going to be competitive, and we can lower our margin if needed to kind of ward off any competition.
Well, so that leads into the other one, because if you want to continue to build that wall without a patent, then really, to me, it's about building the brand, whether it's a trademark or whether it's just a solid brand. People don't focus enough. It's not just about bringing your product to someone. It has to have a brand that speaks to those people. And we focus just as much time on building the brand as we do building the product.
Correct.
And I think that's, a big misstep that most people do. They just focus on, we have two types, right? We have people that just focus on the brand and have no idea how to make the product. And that can be just as dangerous. And then we've got people that just, want to bring this product to market, but don't realize that, there's branding involved. People need to see the repetition. They need to see colors. They associate things with your brand. There's a culture that goes behind building your brand. And if you don't have that built, you're really starting from scratch.
Right. Which goes back to the old theory that there are no quick ways to get rich on a product idea. It very, very rarely happens when a product is launched that it goes viral. We see products that go viral and we're shocked until we learn that, it was an instant success that was 10 years in the making, meaning that, the individual or the company, had spent 10 years building its brand,
that audience or people
to have that day where it went viral.
Yep.
Everybody sees the viral moment, but they don't see behind the scenes. And believe me, it's a struggle to get to that point, but it's all well worth it when it happens. It's there's a lot of behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't see.
Well, the industry in the Kickstarter side, right? They tell you that you need at least 500,000 names of people that you can email or get to the minute you launch your product. And even then, they're always disappointed.
Exactly.
Because
they've spent so much money to get those people. They've given away equity. They've given away margin. They've given so much away to get that amount of context to support the campaign, and they're still disappointed after raising $1 million, and they should be, because they probably spent three-quarters of that, if not more, to get to that point.
So I'm going to touch on that for one more step, where you have to have patience, because at the end of the day, bringing this to fruition, everyone wants to look at it. We all dream that the influencer is going to pick up our product and love it, and instantly we're going to be recognized and millionaires. There's only one problem, and we've had this happen. When an influencer picks your product up early and you don't have enough inventory because you just got started, that demand, if it can't be supplied, what have you done?
Yeah.
Right. And that's a mistake people make. So people are hungry, and look at influence, or getting a spike, or getting on a television, or getting on Today Show, or getting on a home shopping network. Everyone has to realize that you have to figure out how to sell product every day. And so your main focus needs to be on getting your product to market, and then figuring out how to sell it every day. And those little spikes, those little influencer, those give you into that next level plateau, and that's how you keep growing it. And for me, that's a huge, I wouldn't say it's a mistake people make, but it's a mentality they don't understand. And it causes them to start making the bigger mistakes about, I need to do this, I need to do that. sometimes you need to be patient and just keep making sure that your sales, you're getting more today than you did yesterday.
Peter, what's my nickname around here?
Mr. Impatient.
Yeah, instant gratification man.
Instant
They call me Iggy.
gratification man, all the above.
I will tell you, people, that hanging around with this guy here for the last 5 years has certainly taught me to become more patient. And even within our own brands, it's very difficult. It's very hard not to get excited, but
and it doesn't mean not to be driven.
Right.
It means you still have the drive, but you have to find some patience to say what I'm doing today is going to grow this tomorrow, right? And all the activities, it does. Activity breeds proactivity, or activity, as we say.
Yeah.
And so the more you do, but it's more important to do the right things. Do the right things every day, and put your effort where you see results, or where you know you're going to have to build results. And
yeah, 3 words you're going to have to remember and keep saying to yourself every night before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, and it's crawl, walk, and run. Those are the 3 things that I basically say to myself every day, even while building our own company here at 52 Launch. It's nothing happens overnight, and when it does, Peter alluded to it, you're not even prepared for it. So that that shooting star fades out very quickly. So it's much better to crawl, walk, run, and we take that approach with every client, and it's worked. I mean, we're well over 200 clients now, and each one has gone through that same process.
So that goes back to kind of a nice segue. For me, look, it's not just patience, but you have to realize that when you're bringing a product to market, the first part is getting it to market on the launch pad. And I think the biggest mistake a lot of people do is they don't understand when they get to that point, they then have to turn that into a business. And that's 2 different skill sets, 2 different mindsets, how a product is made and the passion that goes into that, making sure it's right. That's a due diligence that's so important to get that part done.
Agreed.
But then you've got to change your hat and realize, okay, now I've got to go start knocking on doors. I got to start finding influencers. I have to maybe advertise. And I think this is where it doesn't take millions of dollars in advertising. It just takes patience to say, okay, I'm going to spend $500 this month and work on getting $1,500 back in return.
Correct.
And that's a thing. If you're bringing a product to market, you have to realize that you are bringing a business to life just as much as a product.
And every business needs what? It needs marketing dollars.
It needs marketing dollars and inventory.
Right.
Because you can't, again, let's talk about the pre-sales, right? How many times do we get say, oh, can we just do this with pre-sales so I don't have to put some money up? The reality is at some point you do have to pay the piper. You have to have product. With pre-sales, you get a fraction of the volume that you would have if you had sales if you had inventory that you can deliver in 2 days, like Amazon would let you.
Right.
And has trained us all to do that. If I buy something today, within 2 days, I get it. If I'm impatient, I go to the store and get it. But if you have inventory, that's the key. I was always taught you can't sell from an empty shelf.
Right. But unfortunately, Amazon's been the worst and the best in these areas, right? They're the best because you get the product the next day. Everybody loves to get product the next day. The worst part of that is that you get the product. People expect to get the product the next day. So, yeah, we've had
you have to follow that suit now.
Very little success with pre-sales. I mean, although we have had success with some, those come from people with huge audiences that are basically buying the brand, and they fall in love with the brand, and the product, is secondary.
Hey, everyone. We appreciate you tuning into our podcast. We hope that you are getting some information that is valuable to you and bringing your product to market. We do want to thank you for watching us.
And like us, if you can.
We'd like you to subscribe, follow us, share us, do all the things that we need to do to expand our reach and help people like yourselves getting their ideas to market. Once again, we appreciate it and look forward to more. Well, and so, since we're on the topic, how many people tell us that Facebook advertising doesn't work?
Yeah, pretty much everybody. Everybody hates Facebook.
So really what people are saying is Facebook is hard and they can't figure it out.
Right.
And that's a more accurate truth about what they're actually saying. The reality is the 2 best marketplaces right now are, we call it Facebook, but it's the social media realms that you can advertise and find your audience or your keywords or your place where you can put your ad in front of the right person. The challenge is that it takes an extreme expertise to find that person that you're looking for. And once you know how to find them, then it's just a matter of how do I find more of them? So it does work. It's just a different skill set than most people have.
Right. Yeah, and it's something that we spend a lot of time learning ourselves and developing the right team to put together to help um, people advertise on
Right.
Facebook.
And even that point, it's complicated, and it's even more complicated because what worked yesterday doesn't work tomorrow.
Right. It's
I mean,
constantly
influencer
changing.
runs were fantastic, and then everybody got an agent, and now they want like just ridiculous money, and you get zero results out of them, or there's no guarantee what kind of results you're going to get from an influencer.
Right, and that's the word, the magic word. There's no guarantee. The only thing you can guarantee is your own effort. That's something that
Right.
You take ownership in. And again, the other challenge we've developed some amazing products, and people don't want to spend the money on marketing. They feel like, okay, I've got the product. We're going to put up a website, and all of a sudden, magic's going to happen. And that just does not work. Putting up a website and putting your product on the website is not a business. You still have a product.
Exactly.
And
Well,
you
and look
can
at
call yourself an entrepreneur, but really at the end of the day, it's going to take magic for someone to land on your site.
I had a bit of a dad tear the other day when Mike, who's one of our new employees, and again, we surround ourselves with a lot of young people on this team because they get it. This is their generation. This is their environment. They know all these things. Dan and I, our expertise is where it is, and we know what a good product looks like. We know how to get it made and how to manufacture it and how to sell it. Now the team around us, they have the technical ability to do what we need to do. But Mike came to us the other day, and he's like, I really learned something from coming here from a very big, probably shouldn't throw the name around, but he came from a very big, recognizable brand. And he said, I really need to understand that the more I can help save our clients money in production and manufacturing, the more money they have in marketing, which is what they really need.
And that was an aha moment that we love to hear.
Like I said, it gave me a dad tear in terms of hearing that from Mike. And look at people, you've got to just realize that at some point, yes, you can do things with organic sales, but it's slow, and you need to spend money in marketing dollars. You have to build your brand, and you have to then you have to just share your brand. You have to share content. You have to get it out there, and you have to find people to help you do that. And there's a lot of people that will take your money to do that and not get the results. And like Dan said, your best effort is to find the things that work and just keep building on those. And again, we have very successful online businesses that manage themselves.
Absolutely. Or you can go the DIY approach, and if you don't have marketing dollars, and you still have your product and you've got inventory, guess what you have to do? You have to hit the streets. You got to knock on doors, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just takes more time. And it takes more patience. But in the end, you've taken the right step by becoming an entrepreneur and trying to turn your product into a business. And, we applaud people for that, for sure.
So that's what I will add into the segue here. I called it lack of hustle, or being a little bit too humble or embarrassed to go and do things. If you have a product, like for example, if you have a ski product and you don't have the money to go online, guess what you can do every Saturday, Sunday?
Go water surfing,
or just go hit a parking lot at 7 a.m. and show people, open up your van or your trunk and just show people you've got a cool ski
Absolutely.
product. Right. So you might get kicked out before noon, but there's no.
Yeah, I think we know a couple kids like that. Well, they're not kids anymore, but I'm sure you've heard of the Jacob brothers and Life is Good. That's exactly how they started.
Well, I'll give a little plug to a couple of our own clients, right?
That's true.
You got QB54.
Yeah.
PlayQB54.com. You can go check them out. They've got a great product. The guy, Mike and his brother will sit at tailgates every day, every Saturday, Sunday, and sell these hand over fist until they reach that tipping point. Now they're crushing it online.
Right.
And our other two new guys, they pivoted. They were the Ass Plate. You can go check them out. Now they are don'thalfassanything.com. And they have a very unique lifestyle. But these guys are climbers, and they've just gone out and figured out they were bartenders in Astoria, Queens.
Pete, you mean physical climbers?
Climbers.
They climb sides of
they're
mountains.
They're in Yosemite right now doing a climb. But these guys have just done an amazing job of being those guys you want to follow and selling products that you just go, wow, that's pretty cool.
Right. Hustlers.
Because they didn't have marketing dollars, but they had inventory.
Right.
And so, great pivot. So let's let's see. Do we have anything
I think
more?
I think the next thing that we get asked pretty much every day when we meet with a prospective new client, um, everybody wants to give away equity.
Ooh, yeah,
They want to give away equity for for services, or they want to give away equity for cash for inventory, which we understand is needed. But in the end, I think we make it affordable to get a product on the Launchpad.
right.
Save giving away equity until you really, really have to give it
So I
away.
was just going to say, so I would disagree, just as a conversation, I'll disagree with you from the client's perspective and say, well, that doesn't sound bad. If I gave you equity and I got services, what's wrong with that?
Right.
Where's the challenge lie in? When you really need the money for two things. At some point, every business, or when you go from being a hobby to a business, it's when you have a need to do two things: more money for,
Inventory,
and
marketing dollars.
okay. So when you have only 30 or 40 or 50% left of your company to get those, and look at, that's where we're talking about, what is it, a couple $100,000?
Yeah.
Right? Let's say $100,000 in inventory. Because here's what it is: if you could come up with $50,000 in credit cards just to advertise, you're going to get that back. But if you don't have the inventory
Right.
to deliver those, so you have to have both. It's that vicious cycle, and that's really where you have to have either equity or convertible debt or some sort of format where you can have someone jump in and help you expand. Once you can prove to them that you have a viable business model and you know how to find those customers, that every dollar you're spending generates 3 times return on revenue.
Right. And again, you're going to need equity. You're going to need to give away equity when you get to a point where
Right.
you're selling consistently online. You're on your second or third, fourth order,
Right.
Or you've tipped the scale, and now you have retailers watching you grow online, and they want your product in their store.
So wait a minute. You're saying you should not go to retailers first. You should go online first. I think everybody wants to just go to
Yeah.
retailer, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get into Walmart.
Yeah, if your last name is Gates or Elon Musk or
Right. Or
in your
Lori
corner,
Grenier.
or Lori Grenier or
Yeah.
Rockefeller, you can certainly go right to retail. But it's, again, talking about having patience, it's going to be a long road to get your product into a retail store without having any history, and more importantly, they're already a year to 18 months out on that particular season. So you've got to wait. That's why we like our expertise is taking your product and getting it online and getting sales every single day online. Again, it goes back to what 3 words: crawl, walk, run. When you do that,
Yep.
you'll hit the tipping point where you'll get phone calls from retailers, and guess what happens at that point? The leverage flip-flops. You have leverage now, and you don't have to give away 90-day terms. You don't have to pay for shelf space. You're not going to be on their online store. You're going to be in their store because you've already proven the product sells.
Well, and look, I just went through the exercise today where we went back and I was reviewing all our previous clients. How many of them got a hard no? There's my tip to Letterkenny, but a hard no on, no, we're not interested, and now are actually, we're on HSN.
Right.
Or are on, into the stores. Look, at when you're new, nobody knows who you are. You're an established brand. The buyers, the biggest mistake people make is, or one of the mistakes that people make, is that they think that the buyers are just ready and willing. I mean, these buyers, I think we can, talk about with BJ, that BJ Orsi, that these people are inundated with samples sent every day. There's entire stock rooms like that have,
When BJ shared with us that there was a whole warehouse
dedicated to
dedicated
new arrivals
to just
of samples.
new samples, not products that are going to be sold at this particular retailer.
Some are packaged,
just
some are
the sample.
unpackaged, some are raw, some are prototypes. Like, they
Right.
don't. It's like the Indiana Jones archive. They just don't know what to do with it.
Right.
So, look at the mentality of going to big box stores first. Even if you were that fortunate and you had the most incredible product, it's an impossible route to do that from the start.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to afford it.
No.
So you really have to focus on, look, and I'll tell you just right, for me, this is where I'm not patient. I can't stand red tape. I can't stand knowing that someone's wanting to buy something and all the signals are there, and then it still takes forever. The process takes this long. That person changed positions and now I've got to start over, or hey, we changed our mind. The only place where I know you can control your own destiny is by going straight to online.
Right.
And if you have that mentality from the beginning, is that, to me, the crawl is getting your product to market and selling one, and the walk then is to walk through the online process and figure out how to sell, get to the 1,000 mark, get to the 10,000 mark. Once you're at that point where you can consistently say, I am generating X amount consistently every month, that's when you have a business, and that's where people will take notice of you, and that's when your reviews and the shares and the people that are liking your product will start to help you reach that tipping point. And at some point, that's when the box stores come to you, and that's when you have leverage.
Right.
And that's the run.
Right. Agreed. And another thing that might not be completely relevant to mistakes people make when bringing a product to market, it's a mistake they make before any of this, and that's to think. And this really kind of, if I was a swearing guy, I would say a couple swears right
you can
now.
Start swearing now.
But I get aggravated when people come to us and they just want to simply sell their idea to us. Like they think that we're this idea factory that doles out cash for someone's good idea. I can assure you that I think we have about 25 people here in this office. Every one of us have at least a dozen really good ideas, or at least a half a dozen. And ideas fall off the trees here every day. It's the execution part, and no one is paying for someone's idea, because what's the most important thing that in someone's life, in most people's lives? It's not money, it's time. Right. We would all pay every penny we had to keep living, right? So at the end of the day, time, time is more important than money, and that's what investors look at. They have the money, they don't have the time. They don't want to do due diligence. They don't want to hand over money and pay for R&D. They want to give you money for two things, and that's marketing dollars and inventory. Actually, inventory and marketing dollars, if we're talking order of giving out money. And
well, I'm going to go one further, because I don't get a chance to say this to customers when we're face to face, because we're a business and polite. But I'm going to tell this as honestly as I can. If you're trying to sell your idea, you don't believe in it. Because if you don't believe in it, if you believed in it that much, you would go out and find a way to find the money.
Right.
You have friends, you have family. You're just not convinced that it's a good enough idea for you to take the chance on, or you don't want to take the risk, or you're too shy. And that to me means you have nothing.
Right.
The idea is I don't even think it's worth 1%. There are some amazing ideas out there. We run into people all the time. And, I appreciate there's some people that just don't have the money, won't have the means to have that money. But we have also been taught that there's an amazing resource. When someone believes in their product, they have turned around, they have come, and they have hired us. And we take those very seriously, because we know what they've done. We have a 13-year-old kid that's bringing a product to market.
Yeah.
Right?
And we also have an 87-year-old guy bringing a product to market, and every age in between, from people that are blue-collar workers, people that are uneducated, people that pretty much any...
Not uneducated is dumb, but just they don't have, they didn't go to Harvard Business School. They just have a good idea.
They had a great idea. They don't have a degree in marketing. They don't have a degree in design, but they had a wonderful idea, and they believed in it, and they hired us, and and now they're generating revenue online. So it really, Peter, you said it best. If you're trying to sell your idea, that means you don't believe in it. That's the first time I've heard that from you. And that's very interesting. Very interesting.
So I think we're, I don't know, we wrapping this up, or we get a few more minutes? Just checking off with our editor. Appreciate Evan's help on this to make sure that, our podcasts are getting better. Really look at this is for education and informative, because at the end of the day, we live in a whole new world, right? In terms of bringing a product to market. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there's a lot of changes that happened. The advent of 3D printing, obviously Amazon, where you can go and you don't have to go through red tape to start your own business.
Amazon has opened up.
eBay, right? All these things, the cost of just being able to create your own stuff, social media, being able to go and brand and build your own market and audience without spending marketing dollars. There are so many things that are available to this audience today, and anybody can bring a product to market. And what's her name? Sarah Blakely from Spanx.
Yeah.
I love it. She's got a master class. Her opening statement is, every single person on this planet has $1 million idea in their lifetime. It's just a very small percentage of those who will execute on it.
Right.
And that's what we're here to do. We want to help people execute on that, or help you get motivated to execute on that. I don't want to be a Gary Vee where I over motivate someone to do something they shouldn't do or aren't prepared to do. I'd rather make sure you're prepared to do it, because if you're prepared to do it, you need to see it through to the end. And I think that's the mentality that you and I have, where we say success isn't guaranteed,
but failure is not an option.
Failure is not an
Absolutely.
option. And I think on that note, I think we've covered this topic quite well.
Yep.
And if there's if you guys have any questions or comments that you'd like to reach out to us, podcast at 52 Launch, or you can reach us at ideas at 52 Launch. I'm sure we're going to have some stuff and links on the bios and everything else that we'd love to hear your comments and feedback. And if you've got something you want to talk about or a topic you want us to touch on, please let us know. We're ready to We're ready to be here to help you guys get every idea to market. I want to thank everybody for watching our podcast. Dan, how do people get in touch with us if they've got an idea or a prototype that they'd like to share with us?
Go to our website.
Yeah.
52launch.com. Click the I Got an Idea button and
let's get launched.